everybody, and welcome here in RWSRL. This is now Season 10 in this historic and decorative league. We just finished off Season 9 2 weeks ago, which saw us take his second title in a row. Can he continue his great run of form for a past season or two? And can he carry on that form into this race? A fresh new start, a new book to be written, fresh pages to put your pen over. Who's going to create history once more here in RWSRL? The path towards glory starts now. So as you can see, it's a short qualifying session which lasts around 18 minutes. We then go on to the race in of itself, which consists of 29 laps here in the hot sunny skies here in Miami. Well, it's predicted to be hot sunny skies, but yet again, we're not too sure with the tricky weather there in America. So we could see some changes on intermediate tyres if people are not careful. This could happen in the short qualifying session or the race in of itself, which always creates some great action-packed content. This is my second ever race to commentate on Miami. My first ever was an absolute pleasure, packed with entertainment, and was my best race to commentate on to date. So hopefully that great entertainment will be brought over to this historic league and will be transformed into something even better. As now we will shortly enter the qualifying session here in Round 1, Season 10, Tier 1, Miami. We're just waiting maybe the last few drivers to join the session, and then we'll get underway here for Season 10. And if you can recall, then of course last time out we saw Weeksy take home the championship trophy. Did it in Abu Dhabi. It was just a fumble across the 2-yard line from Aussie at the end of that season. Very disappointing from Aussie. But he can switch that bad luck to good form if he's able to start off with some great pace here in Miami. Not many do. There are some tricky turns that you can be caught out on, especially that, as I call it, Mickey Mouse section. People don't call it these days, but it's like that short little chicane section is practically going into street circuit part before that massive straight. That's what I call the Mickey Mouse section. I will refer to it as the Mickey Mouse section through this stream, so when I say Mickey Mouse section, it just refers to that. It's a very tricky section of turn to try and master, but these drivers are very talented, so I'm sure with the plenty of practice they've put into a entertaining race, entertaining qualifying session, and so forth, surely it will pay off here as we now will load into the short qualifying here in Miami. I've got goosebumps running up and down my spine as we set off a new adventure here in Season 10. Also, apologies for that. Also, I did mention at the start of the stream that was the second consecutive. Sorry, I can't say that word correctly. But that is the second time in a row that Weeksy did win the championship. 2 times in a row, he won it. It was fantastic for him. Satisfaction brought to his eyes. And I did mention the gamble of the weather here in the USA, and looks like it's gone to bad luck as it is falling down with rain as it enters the wet surface of the track. The drivers now have to play an entirely different game to what they would have used to be playing. Let's see if they can still perform at the highest level. So I am just invested in who's going to come out first, who's going to be the one to set sail, quite literally first, here onto the track. It looks like a Mercedes will be coming up first. I think that's Cringe. He was last, bottom of the rankings last season. He's going to improve on those previously poor statistics. The way to do that, though, is to set an example to the rest of the pack by showing off that you have some pace compared to the rest. And well, that's what every driver's trying to achieve, but I think it's going to be most bloodthirsty. The driver's that he's going to be, most bloodthirsty is going to be Cringe, considering he was bottom, lowest of the low last season. Moving on to the highest of the high, though. Weeksy, of course, I've mentioned a million times, took over that cheeky World Championship. He was driving in an Aston Martin. He now drives in the red surface of Ferrari with a teammate called Depth Knights. Depth Knights had a fantastic run of form near the end of that season. A great driver through and throughout. So with a championship defender and a just great driver in general in Depth Knights, I do see Ferrari having a very Weeksy with a bit of a mistake there on the outlap. It shouldn't be too much to worry though for the man in Ferrari. The man in red should be fine here as he goes through the Mickey Mouse section. So it's this bit that I refer to as the Mickey Mouse section. Anyways. So yes, Depth Knights, I feel like Ferrari have a real chance at battling for the Constructors. Whether they can do it with the World Championship, I'm not too sure of. I think Depth Knights finished around 5th last season off in the drivers' standings. Definitely not a bad driver in of itself. Moving on though to the Williams, they're not. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they're going to be a particularly strong team today, or sorry, not only today, but for the rest of this season. I don't really see Game Changer changing much from his previous form, which, let's be honest, wasn't the greatest, to say the least. And he's into the wall there. That's definitely not going to be good for him. Into the wall at the Mickey Mouse section, and I think he is going to go into the pits for a new front wing. But we are on to some actual flying laps now here. This includes Aussie and Weeksy. So these two battling it out for the championship last season. Can they replicate that this season? We'll have to see. These two having a bond over each other by pure respect and pace. It's just the perfect combination for great, talented battling here in such a fantastic league. As now, Aussie will enter the tricky sections of Sector 2, but I feel like Weeksy's just about going to end this lap off now. No, you can see right there, I think, actually, Aussie's right behind, right on the neck, basically, of Weeksy here on this flying lap. But Weeksy, does he skim the wall? Oh, big mistake! Puts down the throttle way too early. He still does get purple second sector, though I think he's going to continue on with this lap, despite that quite fatal mistake, really. Last turn he'll come around now. Here in the qualifying session, Cringe is the first man to set a lap time to put out the presentation of what you have to beat. Little bit of a squabble here on the exit of these last few turns here for Weeksy. What's it going to be? It's going to be a 138 dead. What's Aussie going to get, though? He's going to peel into the pit lane. Clearly not happy with what he's performing out so far. Maybe that's just going to be a downforce change or not. I'm not too sure. But the only laps have been set has been set by Weeksy, Cringe, and now Ski. These three, 138, 138, 140. So there's quite a big gap in terms of times. But clearly, you can just see right there, Callum slotting in P3 right now. But Weeksy's still keeping the P1 here in the intermediate weather here in Miami with a 138 dead. So he's still on top, it seems, and James Calaco, he's in the wall, unfortunately, for the Aston Martin. I'd also like to point out, Aussie and Chris Downs both are Aston Martin drivers, I believe, last season. I'm not too familiar now. I think Weeksy was actually Mercedes with Depth Knights. No, Mercedes with no. Weeksy was in a Mercedes last season with Depth Knight. Speaking of Depth Knights, he takes over pole here by a second. My oh my, what is this man on? Incredible lap from the Ferrari man. Incredible stuff. And if it stays like this, with a 1-2 for Ferrari starting off the Grand Prix, we could see all red up top, heading into a potential wet Miami Grand Prix. But anyways, the man that I was going to say is DJ Flux, who currently drives for Alpine now with his teammate being Snowy. I don't know too much on Snowy to actually report whether I think he's a good driver or not. But DJ Flux, he's a very good driver. I don't think he's quite up there to DJ Flux's, Depth Knight's level. I'm going to be completely honest there. I feel like Depth Knight is a better partner for Weeksy. Of course, last season, Weeksy and DJ Flux were partners for the Mercedes. Since then, they, of course, departed. This man was also the teammate of Depth Knights, Inkstar. He was the Red Bull with Depth Knights. He's now in the AlphaTauri. I don't think his teammate's actually in the lobby this first round. No, it isn't. No, he isn't. Sorry. So, interesting there. Inkstar maybe just won't have an actual teammate in of itself, but I'm not too sure, if I'm going to be honest. I don't quite have the extensive knowledge to know that. But DJ Flux with invalid lap time. Is he going to go for another? It seems like he will. Dream Team right now with a left-hander. This is, I think, his debut race here in RWSRL. Do not quote me on it, but I do believe it is. I've not seen him last season. I should also point out Chris Townsend and Ozzy, the same two drivers on Aston Martin last season. They're the same teammates. They've got the same bond, the same partnership once more, but this time for the colour of orange at McLaren. So we'll see what they can do in the now orange colours as they represent on the battlefield. Jack looking to come across the line to improve on his lap time. You can see it's so difficult trying to put your throttle down here in Miami in the wet rain. Oh! Multiple times I could have counted where I would have thought Jack went into the wall and could have crashed himself out of that qualifying session. Luckily, he was able to keep his tyre on his car. So Jack really struggling in this wet weather, but at the same time, when you think of it, I mean, who isn't at this point, really? It's really, really, really difficult to do well in wet weather. I mean, it's something that Depth Knights has done brilliantly. 1:37 dead is unbelievable stuff here in RWSRL. 1 second off of the previous pole time, which was Weeksy's time of a 1:38 dead. So these two firing shots off here in round one, setting their standard of what they're going to produce here in the red colours this time. But DJ Flux, oh, he sneaks up there into P2, destroying the Ferrari party. And sneaks up there into P2, and now he's being in a Ferrari sandwich. Can Weeksy get that 1-2 that of course, Ferrari previously just had? They've since then got departed from each other with the 1:37.3 lap time there from DJ Flux. So, of course, Weeksy's main aim might not be to get pole, but rather to just improve on that 1:37.348 lap time, which was presented out by DJ Flux. I think I'm going to actually spectate him on this. I do want to see how Weeksy's pace is. I mean, of course, this isn't going to be the best representation of what his pace is, because, of course, it's wet. Oh, no. And Weeksy is really, really struggling here in this wet weather. And that is a big, big moment there for him, as he's about to start a lap time. I'm assuming he'll come into the pit lane. No, he's still looking to go for this lap time. So he's going to lose a lot of time here onto the straight, I presume. But going into the first turn, you've got to be so careful to be gentle with the throttle here. Otherwise, you just go in too deep. And really be steady on the throttle here. You put in just a little bit too much, halfway, and that's what Weeksy's done. Oh my lord. This is practically ice skating here for Weeksy. He's dropping down to 5th in terms of the grid order now. So really, they have been departed by quite a substantial amount now, the two Ferrari men. And with Weeksy's time right now not looking so good, it doesn't look like they're going to have that partnership once more. My, oh my. Weeksy finally extremely struggling to put down the throttle here in this tricky Miami circuit. It makes it even more difficult with the fact that it is, of course, wet. Now, here we go. Into this left-hander. Maybe rattling on the curve a tiny bit. No, and you can see just right there so many times. His back end, his rear, just wanting to snap and snap and snap. And he's into the wall. Oh, he might have lost the front wing there. I'm not too sure. I think he's lost the front wing. He's invalidated his lap time. And Weeksy is having a mare so far in this qualifying session. Definitely not what the champion wants to represent himself as. So Ozzy's also struggling in this wet weather. He hasn't actually set a lap time yet. So this will be his first piece to put on the board in this qualifying session. We'll have to see what he can produce around the track, which many drivers can't squeeze their perfectly produced times out. But if there's any man to put out a pretty satisfying time, it's most likely going to be Ozzy. I mean, clearly right now I would have probably backed Weeksy, of course, but it doesn't seem like he's particularly happy with this wet weather. Ozzy, on the other hand, could look at it differently. You can just see right there as well. It's just so difficult to put down the throttle full way, and Callum disqualified from the session. Definitely not what the Alfa Romeo wants. 138.9. He's definitely going to plummet down the order in the grid. Ozzy looking to fly high in the grid. You want to brake late. Well, brake early actually, but you want to turn in late to give yourself the best exit out of the straight possible here. So here we go then, onto the straight, and Ozzy is starting off his lap time. We'll have to see though in the bottom right hand corner if any sectors will go purple. If so, it's a good indication that his lap time will be superior. Oh no, that's a big mistake from Ozzy. And he's into the wall, and he's lost a bit of his front wing. His front right template there, you can just see, is gone. It's off of his car. His teammate though, Chris Towns, he's on another lap. I'm not too sure if he's got damage or not. We'll have to see right now. He's not got damage. So far, he might not have the cleanest of lap times, but right now it's definitely better than his teammates. But be gentle with the throttle here. Weeksy got caught up by this, and so has Chris Towns, but that could have been much more dangerous. My oh my, you really got to be so gentle with the throttle, like softly stroking a kitten. It is so difficult to put it full throttle here onto these straights in wet conditions. But here we go, left-hander, pretty much done perfectly. You can just see the rear end just really wants to snap, really wants to just swift round. Going through the Mickey Mouse section now, going onto the straight. Apologies if my stumbles a word, but might have been a swear. That's not my intention, of course. If it did come across like that, I do apologise. But anyways, Chris Downs now onto the straight. He's got purple in sector 2, so this is definitely not a weak lap time performed by him. You can see his teammate just allowing him to go by and whilst doing donuts in that section. So Ozzy really not feeling it in this Miami qualifying session. But it is Chris Towns feeling it. Comes across the line. It's not going to be the greatest lap times. It's a 138.7, puts in P8. But Depth Knight's right now, he's got some extreme pace around this Miami circuit. He's on another flying lap right now. If he's able to improve any amount, I will be astonished. 137 dead is a fantastic lap time in wet conditions. If he can improve on it, I'm pretty sure it's game over. I'm going to be honest. So you can see Snowy literally just started his flying lap. We'll swiftly turn our attention to him if something goes wrong with Depth Knight's time. Can Depth Knights improve on his 137 dead here in the latter stages in the wet Miami qualifying session? If he can improve on this, it will solidify himself in P1 going into the Grand Prix. Can he do it? Comes across the line. Has he improved? Oh my, hasn't he just? 136.6. An astounding lap time there from the Ferrari man. Fantastic stuff from Depth Knights. He's really set the example for what he wants to present through the entirety of this season. Fantastic stuff by him. Wow. So, Snowy now, he's the only man that can even rival that lap time, but even then, his lap time's been invalidated. I'm assuming with the amount of ERS he's got on that bottom left with the telemetry, he'll probably go for another run here. Aussie retired from the session, so definitely not what the previous title challenger wants. Really not a good example to set for yourself. Everyone's performed a lap time instead of James Kalako. He's really not having a good time here. I think Chris Downs just improved on his lap time right as we spoke, or as I spoke. 1:37.5 is now the lap time he's produced. He's now squeezed himself up into P4. DJ Flux, though, is Snowy Owl going on another fastest lap time? Yes, he's going on another flying lap. I'm convinced that Depth Knights is pulling into the pit lane. Maybe not. Maybe he's going for another run here. I'm not too sure. Is Depth Knights going to go for one more run? Maybe try and improve on an already astonishing lap time of a 1:36.6. Let's see. Does he pull into the pit lane or does he go for one more? We'll take a look at Snowy's lap in just a second. Into the pit lane or for another run. He's going for another run, folks. So it's now or never practically for Snowy here at the end of qualifying. He's got 67 thousandths up his previous lap time in Sector 1, but it's not going to do it at all. He needs to gain about 5/10. He needs to somehow find 5/10. The missing pieces of the puzzle. Can he find them? I mean, it's just so difficult to try and do around such a difficult track, let alone in the wet. But Snowy, the two Alpines having an absolutely brilliant qualifying session as DJ Flux will come across the line. Will he put himself up pole as he now starts his flying lap as well? So the two Alpines on a flying lap. The Ferrari is on a flying lap and with 2 thousandths improvement. Snowy with 82 thousandths improvement in Sector 2, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He will improve on his lap time as we speak, but it will not be able to challenge the tricky and amazing lap time of a 1:36.626 that Depth Knights was able to perform. Snowy around the last turn, and no, it doesn't even compete with that lap time. DJ Flux has got an invalid lap time. The last hope to potentially steal P1 at the death here is going to be Chris Towns, as now he'll round off Sector 1 with 2/10. Not even improvement, but just, you know, not even gained, just like lost. Poor from Chris Towns. Surely Depth Knights has represented himself as a force to be reckoned with here in qualifying. As DJ Flux, yep, once more you can just see he's struggling. Depth Knights pulls into the pit lane with relief showering over his body as he has put himself on pole going into the first round in Season 10. I cannot believe it. Depth Knights having P5 driver standings last season. I was not expecting him to come out and absolutely full-on dominate this qualifying session in of itself. Fantastic stuff from the Ferrari, and he deservedly puts himself on pole. So that is it, folks. Your qualifying session is done and dusted with. Great qualifying session from these insanely talented drivers. 1:36.6 at the end of the day is superior to all the other lap times. And it looks like it will be a nice reward for Depth Knights. So there you go then, that's the end of the qualifying session, and I will run through the order, apologies, for what will happen going into the Miami Grand Prix. So Depth Knights goes on pole with a 1:36.6, 3/10 off of P2's time, and the man who performed that P2 time was Snowy with a 1:36.9. From then on, it's Chris Towns, DJ Flux, Dream Team, Weeksy, Cringe, Jack, Inc., Ski, Remix, Dilly, Aussie, James Kalako, Game Changer, and Callum all did not set a lap time. Thank you for watching this qualifying session as we shortly enter the Miami Grand Prix. Thank you to all of you that are listening or watching in of itself this live stream. If you are a new viewer, we would like you to follow us on Twitch. You don't have to. It's only if you do enjoy our content. And if you do want to see it regularly, then you can hit the follow button. But we're not forcing you to. But I think Depth Knights is forcing answers out of questions he's been feeding into the minds of Snowy. You know, kind of, how have you gone 3/10 slower than me in qualifying? You know, are you going to have the pace to even keep up with me in the sunny skies now in Miami? The questions have been asked. It's up to Snowy to deliver the answers. I mean, it doesn't necessarily... Well, you really... In these kind of lobbies, you don't actually, you know, you speak with your actual text messages. You speak with your driving. You let your driving do the talking, and that's what Snowy's looking to do here. Can he rival with Depth Knights, even though Depth Knights showing, quite frankly, a superior lap time and potentially, just in of itself, a superior driver? I know it sounds harsh, but I think it's the honest truth, to be honest. I feel like if you qualify P1 in any Grand Prix, in any, technically Grand Prix, but in any league race, then clearly you're deserved of that P1 because you're just better than the rest. That is why you're P1. Because you were able to beat the other people. So, Snowy, can he keep his composure here? This is the first ever race I've seen him go on. Same as Dream Team also. I've never seen him race before here in RWSRL, so he's going to set the standard. He's going to be showing off his driving skills. He's already done that in qualifying, yes, but I feel like you don't really get points in qualifying. You get points in races. So it's all about keeping your cool in the races and seeing what you can put on the board. And your top 10, the people starting in the point zones, are as follows. P1 is Depth Knights, P2 Snowy, P3 Chris Towns. But from then on, it's DJ Flux, Dream Team, Week C, Cringe, Jack, Ink, and Ski. With Remix and Aussie's having an absolutely mare, by the way, in this weekend so far. I mean, didn't even set a lap in qualifying. That's how bad he found this track in the wet. And now he is disqualified a session of the formation lap with Remix. So he's going to have insanely cold rubber off of the start here in the Miami Grand Prix. It's certainly not what you want, not only in Miami, but in any track or circuit. Not to do my impression of Will Buxton, but that is the obvious truth. It's a very rookie mistake that I don't expect to be made from Aussie. So maybe, you know, I don't know what's going on with him at the moment. I don't know why he's slipped off in terms of composure and in terms of pace. But he's just really not on it for the first race of a new season. And if this is to continue on to the end of the race, and if this is going to continue on to the rest of the season, there's no way that he will be able to challenge for that championship again. But a man who can, the man who has got quite some pace in Miami, is the man on pole, which is Depth Knights. He sets the scene as now we will shortly await the 5 red lights. Five red lights. Green light, go, 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 here in RWSRL, the new season, Season 10, it's a horrible start for Depth Knights, and Chris Down flies himself up into P1 of the Grand Prix. You can see the 2 Alpines going side by side, which opens the doors for Dream Team to look for a move round the outside of one Alpine. Now we can look round the outside of the second Alpine. He's on hard rubber, But oh my god, it's 3-1 going into this left-hander. Now it's 2 abreast between Dream Team and DJ Flux. They make sure no contact is made between the two of them. Look at this. Dream Team having an absolutely brilliant scruffy battle with both these Alpines here. Maybe the Ferrari of Weeksy could get involved here. But right now it's between Dream Team and Snowy here. They make contact onto the straight now. The hards versus the mediums here onto the straight, going into the short little hairpin. Where's Weeksy going to come out in all of this? He's studying these two going side by side through this left-hander. Are these guys going to spin? Questions being answered. What's the answer? Are they going to go cleanly through this turn? They are. Going into this right-hander will now enter the Mickey Mouse section. You cannot go side by side through this section. Do not attempt to do it, folks. It will not end in a very nice way for each driver. And you can see corner cut evidence for that there. 3-second time penalty for Dream Team. It looks like a switchback maneuver being pulled off there by Snowy. And you can see Weeksy with a brilliant exit off that, actually. But he's going to have to go back into the slipstream to be able to actually look for a move. Funnily enough. And you can see these two ahead just battling. Weeksy having a front row seat to a beautiful battle being displayed, in front of our eyes. Looks like Dream Team's looking for a switchback. He's not going to get it, though. Now going on to the straight, apologies. Going on to the straight now. Dream Team is so close up the back of Snowy here as we go into the first turn here in the Miami circuit. A little bit of contact between the two. Maybe Dream Team just misjudged his braking zone. Just forced Alpine a little bit off the track there. You can see multiple people falling down the order. Dilly's got 10 seconds on his time penalties. Definitely not what you want in 2 laps in of a Grand Prix, let alone what you want in any Grand Prix, really. I mean, awful stuff by Dilly on the start of this Grand Prix. But this has been a great battle between Weeksy, Dream Team and Snowy. All these men battling out for P4 here in such a historic league, but you can see that Jack's looking to capitalise of any situation that goes on with Weeksy here. As you can see, he's just lurking behind, but Dream Team's looking for the overtake round the outside, going into this left-hander. Now they're still side by side. The Alpine and the Alfa Romeo going at it once more. Weeksy's looking for an opening, a gap on this Alpine, but none is shows, and it looks like Weeksy just has to follow behind. What's happened to Depth Nice? What's he done there? Big mistake in the Mickey Mouse section, and he's dropped down to P3. Previously P1, dropped down to P2. Big mistake in the Mickey Mouse section. He's now into P3. Looking to claim his P2 back, though, as he's coming straight back at DJ Flux now down the inside. He'll go in the very last few turns here in the Miami circuit on lap 2, and you can see a little bit of contact, maybe a misjudgment of his braking zone there. Depth Knights, is there any damage on DJ Flux? I don't think there is. If there is, that's awful driving there from Depth Knights. But I don't think there is any damage. I think DJ Flux is fine. But what a start to this Miami Grand Prix. Just what you expect here in RWSRL. Just action-packed racing. Looks like it's going to be suffering from even more action because Weeksy is still looking for an overtake here on Snowy. Has been showing the nose up the inside and outside of the Alpine for quite some time. But yet he's not found a gap and opening to really convert on. Can he find one here? He's going to use a little bit of his ERS. He now has DRS to play with, of course. You can see just up top, though. Look at how close Depth Nice is getting over here to Chris Downs. This is the battle now for P1 in the Miami Grand Prix. Looks like the Ferrari going deep into the braking zone and just outbrakes Chris Downs whilst we're having that inside lane. And now Depth Nice claims his P1 once again. But now you can just see Chris Downs is going to have the DRS going onto the straight here. He's going to have the DRS. He's got more ERS. Overall, this looks like a much better position for the McLaren than it is for Depth Knights. Whilst Depth Knights is, of course, in the superior position, Chris Downs has just got much more reliability towards his pace than Depth Knights does. That will shortly become a huge factor in these two squabbling it out here in the Miami Grand Prix. See Aussie, though, on the other end of the spectrum, really. He went from P13, he's now P8, so he's not doing bad. Needs to try and improve a little bit more. Well, of course, more positions is for the best, obviously. You can see Jack's having a little bit of trouble, though. I'm wondering if he's got any damage or not, actually, to his car. Does not seem like it, so I think he's just genuinely struggling with that tricky second sector, the one that Weeksy's entering and exiting right now here on lap 4. And then the Alpine just kind of you know, I mean, I'm not sure. Oh, Weeksy's got to be very careful of the exit of that turn. He's made a couple of mistakes in qualifying there. I mean, of course, it's not going to be the same because, of course, that was wet qualifying. But still, if you make a mistake in a turn, no matter what conditions it is, it's a turn you need to work on. But now Aussie up the inside here of the Haskar of Jack Bilby. And I think he's got the overtake done and dusted. No real questions being asked from the Haskar. And he just has to wave goodbye to the McLaren. So here we go onto the straight now. You can see Chris Downs is actually without DRS onto this straight here. You can see just up ahead. I think that's Dream Team with that mistake. It is Dream Team with the mistake. Snowy does not have DRS. Weeksy does have DRS, of course. DJ Flux getting extremely close here up to Chris Towns. And if these two do battle it out, have some fights here for P2, that will only come to the absolute pleasure of Depth Knights. Therefore, creating a bigger gap here. And it looks like Aussie's overtaken Weeksy. The two title challengers of last season, a little bit of memory, flashbacks, head-to-head once more as they went. I think it was just a mistake by Weeksy, which just allowed a door to be wide open, which Aussie was able to follow through in. And now the top 10 now of the points records, well, not points record, but the top 10 who are in the points right now goes as follows. Depth Knight still keeping that P1 as he started off the race so far. P2 is Chris Towns and P3 is DJ Flux. But from then on, it's Dream Team, Snowy, Aussie, Weeksy, Bilby, Ink, and James P. All of these men will get points at the end of the Grand Prix if it was to finish in this stance, in this way. But as we all know, it won't end like that! Case in point, DJ Flux, another huge mistake here. What's he doing? Oh, he's into a wall. He's lost his front wing. And now he's into the wall again. And he's got a 5-second time penalty. It goes from bad to worse here for DJ Flux. He was P3. He was battling it out, potentially battling it out there for P2. Two huge mistakes there in the Mickey Mouse section. And he plummets down the order. Although I'm just invested in Weeksy and Aussie going at it, though. Just these two going head-to-head just brings back memories. And I'm sure they're going to show the respect that they gave each other last season as well. As Remix goes side-by-side with Callum here into the last few turns. And I think it's just going to be an overtake done and dusted there for Remix. I think Callum's just got a little bit of wing damage that he needs to sort out. And I can see it's just, oh, big mistake there by Aussie. And Weeks is going to be able to capitalise side by side into this tricky. Oh, look at that big mistake just in front of us right there. That's Dream Team spinning down the order, perfectly broadcast by our camera. And you can see that Alfa Romeo trickling down the order. Looks like Wicks is going to have his DRS looking to plummet up into P4 here in the Miami Grand Prix. Round the outside, the Ferrari goes of the McLaren here. They're still side by side. They're still two abreast. Going into the short right-hand section. We know you cannot go side by side through the Mickey Mouse section, which they opt not to do. Going on to this massive straight now, is Weeksy going to get DRS? That is a really important thing that needs to be discussed here. And he is going to get DRS. He is going to get DRS. So it's going to be much more difficult for Aussie to potentially get an overtake here onto the straight. Or maybe not. He's still got the speed. They're still going side by side here, battling out for P4 in this Miami Grand Prix. It looks like Aussie could be going for a switchback. No, he's just trying to keep it hooked up round the outside. They're still going side by side through the last few turns in the Miami track, the Miami circuit. Going into the first turn, it looks like Aussie's just ahead. And Weeksy cannot look for a move down the inside. A little bit of a shift in these two. Oh no, it looks like Weeksy's going for it again here. These two battling it out. This is fantastic stuff. Really what RWSRL is all about. Absolutely fantastic between the two. Maybe a dive down the inside potentially from Weeksy. Is he going to get a better exit than Aussie out of this turn? If only this was a battle for P1, I'd be going absolutely livid with it. Because this is unbelievable racing between the two. So much respect being dished out between the two fighters. Really, just what you want to see. Into the left-hander. Oh, a bit mistake there from Aussie. Slipping, and it looks like Weeksy couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't capitalise on the opportunity. Mickey Mouse section now. Or the chicane, as some people put it as. Going on to this massive straight, Weeksy will have the slipstream and, of course, the DRS. I'm just questioning, though, if he's got a better exit in terms of the throttle. Oh, Aussie doesn't have any DRS to play with it. Look at the speed that Weeksy will have onto the straight. I don't think, though, it's going to be able to go for an overtake here in the last few turns of the Miami circuit, unless Aussie makes a big mistake. We've seen these two make some few mistakes here around this circuit, especially this section. They do. Well, they are human after all, aren't they? But honestly, we've just been spectating this for about 3 laps now. I mean, just these men going at it. It's just absolutely fantastic. Such talented and just born and bred drivers. Beautiful raw talent being displayed here. And I wish we could see it again here. And I think we might. A little bit of a mistake here by the McLaren. Maybe a dive down the inside from the Ferrari. Weeksy ever the opportunist, but no, he's not going to opt for that dangerous move. Going onto the straight, you can just see, I think Aussie just grazed the wall. He's grazed the wall again. Somehow he's still got a better exit, though. DRS will be wide open, though, for Weeksy. Of course, that's going to help him significantly to gain time on Aussie. But Aussie's got DRS as well. I don't know what mistake Snowy made, but somehow it's brought Aussie into the equation of DRS with Snowy. So Weeksy will not be able to catch up as much as he did previously towards Aussie. I might have said Aussie twice there, but if I... Oh no! Oh, Weeksy, no! What's just happened? The Mickey Mouse section! Coming to the demise of another driver! The champion of last season with a fatal mistake here in the Miami circuit. The Miami Grand Prix. As Jack Billy looks to hook it up round the outside here on Inkstar. I don't think he's going to get the overtake done and dusted, though. He's going to have to stay behind. Maybe use the slipstream to greater effect. Maybe DRS will come in handy here for the first turn. Is he going to look for a move down the inside? Would be audacious. He does not look for it. And Weeksy peels into the pit lane. Must have got wing damage off that. That is not a sight you want to see. Well, I mean, that's so sad. It's so depressing. Weeksy and Aussie going at it, and then, I mean, just poor stuff there from Inkstar, and also Weeksy through that Mickey Mouse section, or the chicane, whatever you like to call it. It's just so depressing to see. Cringe with an overtake there on Remix. Looks like Jack Bilby's looking for an overtake here, but Aussie, more importantly, is looking for one as well. And Snowy did give him the room. It was a little bit of an opportunist move, but it could have been dealt with. But Jack Bilby and Inkstar is going side by side here. No, not with the Mickey Mouse section, guys. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, they're doing it. Oh, they're doing it. They're going side by side. No, it always turns in a fatal manner. And like it almost just did right there. Is there any wing damage on the back of Inkstar? I don't think there is. No, I feel like he's fine. No, there's wing damage. You can see his right template's off. Surely that must be wing damage then. For Inkstar, not what he wants here in the early stages here in the entertaining Miami Grand Prix. Oh no, it's just blending in with the with the tyre. Never mind, he does have his wing here. So he's fine. He's fine. Was just making sure. But anyways, Aussie right now. He's battling for a podium here, which would be huge, by the way, for the constructors. You know, McLaren, really setting the standard here. If they can get a double podium in their first ever race in Season 10, that would really make some drivers uncomfortable with where they're sitting in right now in terms of which seat they are. You know, you get what I mean. They're just really... want to show off us. Bulky, no! Weeksy's DNF from the session! Oh, no. I'm trying to see where he DNF'd. He must have DNF'd right there. Must have gone into the wall. Heartbreak for Weeksy. Had such entertaining battles. And now, the wall comes to his demise once more. 3 strikes and you're out. Almost likely 2 strikes and you're out. Remix with a 3-second time penalty here as he went through the Mickey Mouse section. But you can see Bilby and Inkstar have been going at it for quite some time. This is a battle definitely worth watching. Really, no matter if it doesn't necessarily count or not due to that time penalty that Inkstar has, this is still a very entertaining battle. I would highly recommend spending your time here in RWSRL watching, because these two men have been fighting for it a long time, and with the new addition of Aussie here, maybe could give Inkstar some DRS. Maybe this comes into a 3-way manner and could potentially lead to even more entertaining battles, as we could see right here. If the you can just see Jack really needs to, oh no! Ooh! Oh, that could have been a much more fatal situation. Could have been dealt with a little bit more care there, the Haskart. And now on to the straight we go. DRS wide open. Is Jack going to look for an overtake? No, he stays behind. Going into the Mickey Mouse section, though. Is he going to look for an overtake here? No, he's still going to stay behind. I'm assuming onto the straight, Inkstar will get the DRS. And so will Jack Bilby. So I don't think there's going to be any positions profited from this situation. I feel like they're all going to stay in the same manner in which they're currently in. We'll have to see, though. I mean, Aussie is, of course, not going to have any DRS to work with here. Oh, we can see Jack Bilby still gaining quite a significant amount here to Inkstar. Maybe he'll go down the inside. No, he looks to stay behind once more. Not looking to cause any drama with a dive down the inside once more there. And looks like both Aussie and Ink looking to pull into the pit lane. Is that due to wing damage or just a shift in tactics to go on the hards? Let's take a look here. That's a new front wing. No new front wing, sorry, for Inkstar. I think Aussie just made a mistake. Needs a new front wing, got a new front wing. Different story, though, for, of course, Inkstar. He rejoins just about ahead of course, Cringe. Cringe being the last man at the back. He was back of the table, of the standings last season, looking to set himself a point here by gaining points in his first ever race in Season 10. And, to be honest, it's a decent overtake on Inkstar. I mean, of course, Inkstar's going to have extremely cold rubber right as he exits the pit lane, but any overtake is an overtake in my books, and I think Cringe will take that one to the bank. Still, though, Inkstar has that DRS coming into play. I think Inkstar's going to come right back at him here, and he does. Oh my word, it's going to be 3 abreast coming into the left-hander. You can just see Remix had to stay out of it just because they didn't go 3 right into that left-hander. That would have been magical. Too good to be true. My oh my, this is a real battle worth watching. These men looking to pull off all the stunts for positions here. DRS wide open here for Cringe. How much time is he going to gain? Is it going to be enough? No, but you can just see that Aston Martin looking for a peek up the inside there. That's, of course, going to be Remix. He was in a Williams last season. He's now in the Aston Martin with his teammate being James Kalako. A new wave of people pitting will occur now. Maybe Inkstar was looking for an undercut, and so was Aussie. I think you'll see now that Inkstar will drift away now because he'll have better tyre wear, tyre heat. He'll look to pull away, and he probably will pull away. Or he's just got to be careful of piling onto those time penalties. But, I mean, look at how spaced out it is near the top. I mean, Depth Knights living in Dreamland right now. You literally cannot see anybody onto that straight, that massive back straight going onto the pit straight now. I mean, just he's living on cloud 9. Really, all he could wish for. Honest to God. Chris Downs really needs to try and close his gap up with his ERS. If he can do so, then of course he'll battle for P1. Quite simply put as that. But he has to use his ERS soon, though. I don't feel like, you know, just using tiny bits, bit by bit, until right to the very end of the race. It's not going to help you. You need to try and pull off all the stunts possible to get a manoeuvre done and dusted. Looks like Remix went for another move there on Cringe. Maybe just miscalculated his braking points and went wide into the turn. He's going to have the DRS, though, nevertheless. Here onto the pit straight. Going into the first turn, this right-hander doesn't look like he will get close enough to look for a move. But hey, guess what? Aston Martin versus Mercedes, the two cars that were going head-to-head last season for not only the Drivers' Championship, but also the Constructors' Championship. What a nice little callback to last season that is. Of course, with very different drivers on both those teams, but still, nevertheless, when you find out things like that, it always puts a smile on your face. I think SK won there with, Ski, with a bit of a mistake there. And now he's James P, he's going to let James P go by. So if there's any static, if you can hear any static right now or anything like that, like little clicks or anything like that, you know, muffled noises, do let me know, because I always try to fix those. They sometimes do creep in though, which is quite annoying. Just the good old trusty headset, unfortunately. But here we go, onto the straight now. Aussie, he's go. Oh wait, hold on, Snowy. Has he just made a mistake? No, he's pulling into the pit lane. Okay, that makes much more sense now. Anyways, so you can see onto the straight now, and Aussie could look for a switchback here. No, we can definitely not. He can look for a better exit. That's what I meant, not switchback. I don't know why I said switchback. Oh, but he's definitely got a better exit, though. He flies past Remix. No shadow of a doubt. Flies past and looks to arrow himself ahead of the man in the silver arrows, Cringe. And in doing so, would get him right up there with, of course, Inkstar. He needs to close down by 6/10 or such to Inkstar to actually be within 3 seconds, and then therefore BP7. You can see though James Kalaka getting extremely close here to Snowy here onto the straight. Of course, Snowy just recently came out of the pit lane whilst going on to the fresh set of hards. And now here we go. Cold rubber will be awarded over to Snowy. And now here we go. No real defense, no real attack that Snowy can make, and no real attack that Cringe can make. Aussie practically mirroring what James Kalako just did to Snowy and what he's just done to Cringe. So now you can see being a little bit more distant now, everybody. Depth Knights, I'm assuming he's peeling into the pit lane. Looks like Chris Towns is... oh, wait. Chris Towns is going to go for an overcut and use a lot of his ERS now, so that when he comes out from going into the pit lane, then he will be able to overcut him. That makes sense. But he's got to use his ERS, though. He's got to use his ERS, though. That's the main thing. That's the main concern. Oh, that was a big spin there. That's Dream Team. Straight into the wall. And James Kalako straight up into P5. Snowy looked for a switchback. You can't really go for a switchback there, son. But, yes, James Kalako with another overtake on Snowy. Some great action-packed content being brought to you live here on Twitch. How much ERS is Chris Towns using? Yes, he's using quite a bit of ERS. He's going to use literally all of it onto the straights, I presume. So he's trying to look for that overcut. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. And it looks like Dream Team's just letting people go by. Doesn't really want to counter. Oh, it's actually giving him DRS! How sneaky is that? And James Kalako's now got the DRS. I think so. He's still going to look for the overtake, though. He's got better speed. No, nothing really there to work with. You can see Depth Knights is so close here to Jack Bilby. Is Chris Towns going to pit this lap? He is. Oh, this was a pause. Oh, no. 5 seconds for Chris Towns. Oh, lordy lord. Well, that, I think, pretty much seals the deal of who's our winner. In case Depth Knight spins, I'm pretty sure he's just set the standard and what he's going to provide here in Season 10 by winning in Miami. Of course, there's around 12 laps left to go, so it's not certain. Not certainty. But but it does lean that way, doesn't it? I mean, that 5-second time penalty really does not. Whoa, what's happening here to Dream Team? Oh, he's just coming into the pit lane. Thank God. I thought he span or crashed into a wall or something. I was getting terrified for a second there. And you can just see Snowy's looking for an overtake once more on James Kalaka. They still been going side by side through some turns, not terms. Sorry. We've actually been extremely clean with each other. I really love to see that. These guys need to keep this up. This is great entertainment that they're bringing us here in RWSRL. Sorry. And onto the straight now. Inkstall's going to use his ERS to try and get past Jack Bilby, but I think Snowy is not. He's not even going to use his ERS. Just pure DRS onto this straight here, looking for like this little hairpin. Left hairpin is James Kalaka with a big send as they go side by side. Contact is made between the two. Not huge contact, but they do just touch the body of each other and are here into the Mickey Mouse section. Look behind you. Anything occurring that's interesting? No. Going onto the straight now they go. James Kalaka will get the DRS onto the straight. I don't feel like he's going to close up the gap enough though, but Jack Bilby will close up the gap over to James Kalaka enough. Look at the speed he's got. Just clean sweep manoeuvre. Doesn't even need the turn. And Jack Bilby is up into P4. So I think it's time for James Kalaka to pit. Box, 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 box is practically what Aston Martin are telling him. I think these tyres have gone long enough. Maybe he's just pissing on these new tyres. I actually don't know. Let me check for it now. Yeah, these tyres have gone long enough, mate. Box, box. Oh, sorry. Box, box. Box, box. You might want to finish on a new set of mediums. Because if he started on like hard or something... sorry, I'm yawning. My apologies, folks. My apologies. I don't know why I'm yawning when I've got such an entertaining race in front of my eyes here as Jack Bilby's looking for another overtake on Mr. Snowy. DRS will be wide open here onto the straight. The Alpine might just be a sitting duck to this now. Right hand side, and the Haskar just flies past, but I think the Alpine's going to actually have a say in this as they go side by side going into the low braking zone of the right-hander, then entering the Mickey Mouse section. Quite the opposite, a hard braking zone. And now going on to the straight here. No, is he going to be able to get past the DRS wide open on this massive back straight? DRS wide open. No, nothing occurring there. Thanks, son. Nothing really here. Maybe Dream Team can get an overtake soon on the cringe. No, his exit's really poor. He's not going to be able to get anything from that. This is some great racing here from all these men. Talented drivers. Dream Team's finally got that overtake on cringe on that straight, though. I thought he wasn't going to be able to get the overtake on the straight. Sorry, I don't know why I'm coughing. I don't know why I feel like I'm sick. This is bad. This is bad. Anyways, Inkson now going to... well, he's going to look for an overtake, yes, but I mean, I don't think he's going to create a 3-second gap. So I might as well just use him for ERS to try and pull away from Aussie and just create a 3-second gap there rather than battling it out. But of course, these guys love some attention with some great battling, which they provide on a daily basis, weekly basis rather. Ski with the fastest lap time of the Grand Prix so far with a 1:29.7. But now, last 10 laps here in the Miami Grand Prix. It's been an eventful one for the midfield battles, but towards the top, it's just been nice and steady for Depth Knights. He wants to pray that it stays that way right until the checkered flag. Onto the straight now, and Cringe will be using his ERS. DRS will now be a big factor onto this straight. Can he close down the gap big enough? Don't think he can. No, he definitely cannot. You can just see though, Inkstar's just teetering on the edge of of getting the overtake, but then just not getting the overtake, and he's losing time actually to Aussie himself. So maybe you do get the overtake, and then you just all of a sudden be quicker. You know, maybe that's what you wanna. You think you have to do. I mean, it'd be much more comfortable to just say, you know, this guy's quicker than me. I'll just hang on to the back of it, gain some ERS, feed off the DRS. But if you're faster than the guy and you're not expanding on the gap in any way, shape or form, then it's just better off overtaking him and then getting the gap done yourself. So if Inkstar looks for the overtake very soon, then I feel like not only does it benefit him in terms of mentality and stuff like that, but also just generally in terms of getting his objective done. His objective being, do not drop down to P7 in this Grand Prix, which right now he would do. And I think he's going to complete the objective, give the squared box a good old tick. Down the inside he'll go into the last turn here in the Miami Grand Prix, and I think he's got the overtake done and dusted. I don't think James Galacco had any say in that. And now James Galacco finally pulls into the pit lane. What's the gap between Aussie and Ink? It's going to be 1.4 now. You can see Aussie's used a lot of ERS, but it's actually got more ERS saved up than Inkstar, quite surprisingly. Aussie, by the way, in season 9, so last season, he actually never got a pole. He never got a pole. He was just really consistent and trying to stay off any of the bad battling going on, the dirty driving. He always, you know, he wasn't a part of that, which is very difficult to do. Which is mainly why he was in contention of champion in the first place, because of how much pace A he had. He had a lot of pace, but B, he was just so much more intelligent. Weeksy was champion because he was much more quicker, in my opinion, in my eyes. That's just how I view it. But yeah, that's how I see it of why Weeksy was champion other than Aussie. I feel like Aussie was more intellect on track, knows more racing IQ. Oh, Inkstar, mate. That was a bit of a dangerous one. Anyways, Dream Team here looking for an overtake on James Galacco. He's definitely not had a bad start here in RWSRL. He's had a very good first Grand Prix, his debut. Whilst maybe, yes, he's spun into the ball, lost his front wing once, he still, I believe, performed quite well in this Grand Prix. Aussie with an overtake there on Inkstar, actually. Was not expecting that one. I was not expecting Aussie to get an overtake. I actually genuinely did not see that gap. I'm going to be honest, I did not see that gap going down and down. So, Aussie, fair play, mate. You've got a lot of pace. Fair enough. You can just see that gap is deteriorating just a little bit now on Inkstar's end. You can see onto the straight now, it's going to go down to like 0.3 or something. DRS wide open. No, it's actually increasing. How much ERS is this man using? He's not even using any ERS. Wow. He's just very quick. Fair enough. Same set compound tyres, everything. Just Aussie's quicker. Fair enough. Fair play. So James Galacco now, of course, pitting onto the slots very late on into the Grand Prix. I don't see the point in it personally. I feel like it just ruined your chances of getting some good points. But I don't know. Other drivers have different viewpoints than me. I mean, what can I say? I'm only a commentator after all. Just give me a second. I just need to do something. Okay, I've done it. Right. Nice. Oh, don't know why I've done that again. But anyways, you can just see the field is quite spaced out now. Nothing to particularly highlight on other than this man's race so far. I mean, just kept everything clean. He's not really been in much battling, except for when he used quite extensive ERS and DRS onto the straight to get an overtake on Chris Towns. That's pretty much the only time where he's actually fought somebody for this P1. He qualified P1. He will most likely end P1. He has had some great pace here in Miami, and if he can continue that good pace for around 6 laps or so, 7 laps or so, then he will hoist up the golden trophy in USA. But until then, he's just going to keep his head down and keep on driving. So the Alfa Romeo of Dream Team here, of course, his debut here in RWSRL. Definitely don't think he's done awful. He's actually done quite well in my eyes. I mean, he'll be P9 right now, and you know, getting points in your debut race in RWSRL. A very fantastic league, by the way. Very decorative. Oh my word, there's a safety car out. Oh, is that full course or VSC? Oh, it's a VSC. If that was full course, oh, that would have really spiced things up. But unfortunately, it's not. That would have been beautiful, wouldn't it? It's beautiful. But anyways, of course, Remix retires from the session. Just trying to see where he retires from. Seems like it's just that wall there. You'll see it right now. Look on your left. Look on your left. Look on your left. His body's probably disappeared right now, but it was most likely this one. So he most likely just went into the left-hand side wall there, or the right-hand side wall. But anyways, VSC is out. Luckily, this doesn't affect the race too much for the drivers. Just means, you know, you're slowing down a bit, you know. That's what it is. James Team's getting quite close here to James Kalako. Something that James Kalako needs to be a little bit steady of. You know, James Kalako, whilst he is on the softs, Dream Team has got some good pace around here. That's just simple as is. It's just good facts. And you can see we're back to green racing now. No longer under yellow conditions. You can now do the overtake. Oh my word! What's just happened? Death Noise has retired from the session. He's inside a wall and he's out in the Grand Prix. Oh my word! I was just explaining of how he should keep his head down, keep on driving right until the end of the race. And oh my word, the only thing he's drove into is a wall. I cannot believe it. His front left tyre is gone, and his champion is his 25 points are gone. I cannot believe it. Depth Knights, out of nowhere on the restart of the VSC, is out of the Miami Grand Prix, and currently Chris Towns is your winner of Miami if he can keep his head down for the last 5 laps. He is champion of Miami. What on earth? What on earth have I just seen? Wow, that is depressing. That's honestly depressing, because Depth Knights, I mean, while spinning and going into the wall is entirely your fault when you're an idiot for doing it, right? He doesn't really deserve it, though. He's had such a good race. He was so clean through this race. DNFing, it's so unfortunate for him. It really, really is. Really deserved better out of this Grand Prix. Deserved 25 points out of this Grand Prix. Instead, he'll get no points out of this Grand Prix. I mean, wow. That's really, really depressing there. And Depth Knights hanging his head low. I guess he just has to move on to the next one, you know? Just keep your head held high. But here's Dream Team. Look at the speed he's got here on James Kalako. Down the inside, he'll go into this left-hander. And I think James Kalako will look to hook it up round the outside. This could look like to be a beautiful overtake from James Kalako. Oh no, but they touched! They touched going through the Mickey Mouse section. That's why you cannot go side by side through the Mickey Mouse section. It always ends up fatal. And it's end up fatal for James Kalako. James P now getting really close here to Ski. He'll use his ERS. He's got quite a lot of ERS actually, so we could actually get some battling here between the two drivers. DRS will be wide open here onto this straight in the Miami circuit. Braking deep into our left-hander, taking a tiny bit of curb, and then you want to be smooth on the brakes here onto this right-hander. Now smooth, going halfway up the throttle. Now going into the Mickey Mouse section. I find chicanes quite easy for me personally, but anyways, clearly it hasn't been to the liking of Weeksy, who DNF'd in those chicanes and that Mickey Mouse section, so clearly it's not favoured by all. But anyways, DRS wide open here for James P on Ski. Nothing. Honestly, nothing really from that. Oh, but a big mistake there by Ski. And it opens the door for James P to slide himself up into P9 now. Just one extra point this is for battling it out here. But it's one extra point more that these two drivers will definitely want to take. Oh, Ski. Oh, Ski. Is he out the session? Whew. Almost hitting the wall. That would have been fatal. Just can see him right there getting lapped by Chris Towns. And Chris Towns, all he has to do is just take this to the line, the checkered flag, which is what Depth Knights couldn't do. We'll see if Chris Towns can do it. I mean, of course, that is absolutely fantastic in terms of McLaren's constructors, but also just Chris Townsend of himself. He was considered by me personally a number 2 driver because Aussie was, of course, challenging for that championship, the Drivers' Championship. So I think Chris Towns right now, if he does collect this win at the end of the day, this shows that he has the pace to be the first driver, the driver that you would want to pick first out of the two to get in your car. The quicker driver, the better driver is what I'm trying to get at. As now we will shortly enter the last lap of the Grand Prix. It's been quite an eventful one with many spins, many crashes, many drama, like it always is here in RWSRL. But it looks like it might go orange in Miami. Just 2 laps Chris Towns needs to survive in, and we will study all of those 2 laps. If he makes one tiny fatal mistake, he will be pointed out for it. Just calm your nerves, Chris. Take it to the line. I mean, right now with those 5-second time penalty, it doesn't do much, of course, because Bilby's 12 seconds behind, so Chris Towns is currently victorious in Miami, but will it be that way? He just needs to make no mistakes. Smooth on the throttle, Chris. That's just what he's done. Good stuff from him. And now he will start off lap 29 out of 29. So there we go. Around the last sharp turn there of lap 28. And this man, Chris Towns, the only mistake, the only minefield bomb that he's treaded on today has been those 5 seconds awarded to him for speeding, of course, inside of the pit lane. A very tedious mistake which many drivers are prone to making. But after that, he made sure to fix himself up, to keep his head down, and to just persevere over those 5 seconds, in which he has done. Whilst in many eyes he has been gifted this victory today, I feel like it's just been more of a more calmer representation of a more deserving driver for a victory. Yes, whilst he might not have had so many battles and so many battles for P1 or whatever and what such, he didn't need to use as much ERS or what such, he didn't need to close down the gap. The question marks will still fly in after this victory is taken by Chris Towns. But it should not blind you from the truth. Chris Towns has made little to none mistakes in this Grand Prix, and with a fatal mistake being made by that Ferrari, and McLaren will take victory and will take 25 points in Miami as Chris Towns comes across the line to win the Miami Grand Prix. A well-deserved victory victory there for Chris Downs. He puts 25 points on the board for him, and he currently leads the championship, as this is, of course, the first round of Season 10. Aussie just about finishing in the podium. So, double podium for McLaren into the first race of Season 10. What a fantastic display, really, from both these men. Just what you wanted to see if you are a McLaren fan of this league. We will shortly await the last few drivers to round off what has been such an entertaining Grand Prix. I personally thank you all for watching said Grand Prix. I've been your host, Silent Pistol, or you can call me Harrison. I don't really mind. But headlines will read, Depth Knight's fatal mistake leads to satisfying Chris Towns' win. We'll just wait until the Red Bull will finally round off this last few turns. And on lap 29 of 29, of all the 10 drivers that have finished this Grand Prix, the race is over. So there we go then, the McLaren driver taking top spot here on the podium tonight. Of course, his teammate meets him on the lower step of the podium, but nevertheless, two drivers on one team, on one podium, is such a satisfying feeling, which in my eyes has been rewarded for McLaren's efforts today. Champagne sprayed over the pit stop crew and the technical chiefs and such. Fantastic win for McLaren. Heartbreak for Depth Knights. Thank you all for watching a fantastic Grand Prix, and here's how it ended. Chris Downs ended up taking the victory on today's emphatic win. Jack Bilby finished P2 in the Haas car, Aussie P3 in the McLaren, the McLarens, both having double podium finishes. From then on, it is Snowy P4, Inc., Dream, James Calaco, Cringe, James, Dilly, Ski, Depth Knights, Remix, Flux, Weeksy, Callum, and Game Changer. I've been your host / commentator, Silent Pistol, or you can call me Harrison. Thank you all for watching tonight. Goodbye.